fruit lovers. A while back I did a Draw My Life episode, but today I want to tell you about the spookiest, scariest dream I've ever had. It's pretty weird, but then again, what dream isn't? So get ready for a glimpse into the mind inside the rind, cause this is the Annoying Orange's Draw My Nightmare. It was nighttime. Lightning crashed, rain poured. I was standing in the middle of a really tall bridge, and I had to make a terrible choice. See, I wasn't just standing in the middle of a bridge, I was standing in the middle of a booby trap set by the Joker. On one end of the bridge, Passion was tied up and dangling over a pit of knives. There was a candle slowly burning through a rope, and once a rope snapped, she'd be a total goner. Now way on the other end of the bridge, Pear was tied up and dangling over a vat filled with sharks. As soon as his rope burned all the way through, he'd fall into the shark vat, and all those innocent sharks would probably die from boredom after talking to him for a while. The Joker told me I could only save one, and I had to choose now. Now, okay, I'll admit, I started moving in the direction of Passion. I mean, I blinked, okay? I literally moved one muscle, but that doesn't mean I'm in love with her, okay? It doesn't. Anyway, the moment I moved, the Joker started laughing. The holograms of Passion and Pear both vanished. Yeah, turns out they were both holograms this whole time. Then the Joker pushed a button and blew the bridge right out from under me and said I'd totally fallen for it. And it turns out it was actually a pretty good pun, because without a bridge under me, I started falling, and I fell for a long time. And here's the worst part. I fell past a bunch of people I recognized, and they all made fun of me for being in love with Passion, which I'm not, by the way. But I didn't have time to explain it to them because I was falling way too fast. But here's where it gets really weird. A lot of them were in their underwear. And that's when I looked down and realized I was in my underwear, which made no sense, because the only time I ever wear underwear is when I'm dreaming. And that's when I realized I was in a nightmare. I started looking forward to hitting the ground, because you always wake up right before you hit the ground, you know? So I kept waiting to hit the ground, and I kept waiting, and finally I realized I was traveling through a tube that went all the way through the center of the earth. There was no bottom. And to make matters worse, as I passed through the middle of the Earth's core, I got blasted with radiation from all sides. I started to mutate and grow extra eyeballs on my butt. Well, I thought it was actually kind of cool at first, but I'd soon regret having all those eyeballs when I finally popped out on the other side of the world in China. That's because, like, every scary person ever was there to jump scare me as soon as I came out of the tube. Freddy was there, Slenderman, Bendy, Baldy, my 6th grade English teacher. We're talking scary people. And I had enough eyeballs to get jump scared by all of them at once. So many jump scares at once deserve more than one scream. And fortunately, I had mutated a few extra mouths by this point, so I was able to scream out of all of them. Anyway, me and all my extra eyes and mouths fell back down into the tube and started falling back towards the other side of the world, which I was actually pretty excited about, because this time when I passed by all those people telling me I love Passion, I had enough mouths to explain the truth. But the scariest part of the nightmare hadn't happened yet. As I was passing back through the center of the earth, I ran smack dab into a herd of dancing hippos. Ooh, these guys were everywhere, and they were plugging up the whole tube. I couldn't get by. They surrounded me. Everywhere I looked, there was a dancing hippo. And that's a lot of places to look, because I had so many eyeballs by this point. But to pass the time, I decided to see if I could touch all my tongues to all my eyeballs. But that was a bad idea, because I just wound up licking a bunch of hippo butts by accident. On the plus side, I did wake up at this point, because my tongue had finally touched the bottom. Talk about the end, am I right? Okay. See you next time. And just remember, I do not have Passion, okay? I don't!